Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs. So we have come up with a new mock interview today. We have one really good candidate. Her name is Shreya. She is having around 4+ years of experience in testing, and she is from US. She's from California. So Shreya, welcome to the interview panel, and then you can make your webcam on now. Great.
Hi
Hey
Naveen,
Shreya, how are you?
I'm
Hi
doing
Shreya,
good.
how are
Thank
you?
you for asking. How are you doing?
Great. Great, great. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Okay, so it must be morning for you, right? Obviously in California, because right now it's for me it's 9:30.
Yes, it's
Oh,
about to be 8 a.m. here
okay. So where exactly you are in California?
in Bay Area, Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Okay, great. Yeah, I was there for a couple of years in Sunnyvale. In okay, when
Yeah,
I
it's
was
very
working.
good there.
Yeah, it's very nearby. Okay, any good. So you know the process, Shreya, that we are going to start the interview, and then whatever the skill set, I can see your resume with me. This is with me, and then whatever things in your bucket, definitely I'll try to ask the questions, very practical questions, no theoretical and all those things. So I hope that best of luck, and I'm pretty much sure that
Thank you.
you will be doing good. Okay, so let's start with the interview process. That tell me about yourself, what exactly you're doing currently, and then what are your testing activities you are handling in terms of automation, in terms of overall testing activities.
Okay, so I have 4+ years of experience, not exactly 5, but more than 4 years of experience in testing and test automation. And
Mm-hmm,
most of my experience has been with web and API applications. So
mm-hmm,
I have tested web UI and API. I have designed framework for API framework and web UI
mm-hmm.
automation. And I've also tested and worked with mobile applications, but I have not really designed automation framework for mobile applications. But I
Mm-hmm.
have done manual testing. I have contributed to existing framework in mobile applications. And with mobile applications, I have worked with both cloud devices and real-time devices. And
Mm-hmm.
with UI, I have written test cases for like in Selenium with Java,
Mm-hmm.
and API for API, I have mostly used chai assertions and JavaScript with Postman.
Okay.
And yeah, that's like my overall experience.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you talk about projects, so I have
Mm-hmm.
worked in all kind of projects like waterfall, agile, and
Mm-hmm.
currently I'm working on Kanban projects. So it's like you can say I have a overall good exposure in
Mm-hmm.
all kind of projects with all types of development cycles. So I
Okay.
have pretty much idea of everything, and I have also been part of daily Scrum meetings and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and grooming sessions and
Mm-hmm.
with the sprint planning meetings and there are some other meetings like when you have some production bug and you do that analysis where you have to find the root cause. So those meetings, and then we do review after sprint, what went good. So all those kinds of meetings have been part of. So
Okay.
and the best thing I like about my profile is that when you are
Mm-hmm.
working as a tester and as a QA, so you
Mm-hmm.
get to know about the overall product. It's not like just there is one feature that you are working on. It's just that you have to write one code like developers do. So that
Mm-hmm.
is the first thing that actually interested me to work as a QA. So earlier I was in database project, but then I took QA and testing because I has my own interest in that field. So
Okay.
yeah, that's all about
Great.
me.
So you're saying that okay, you have worked with web and mobile applications. So can you tell me some practical examples where how exactly the mobile testing is different from the web testing? Because in mobile you have to test on different devices. So how exactly the device testing and testing your app or hybrid or native app is different from your web application? Just give me some practical testing scenarios.
So first of all, I find that the release process is very different
Mhm.
because on web you can have continuous
Mhm.
releases, you can just deploy things, and it
Mhm.
doesn't affect users much when you are deploying in real time scenario. But with
Mhm.
mobile applications, it's not that straightforward. So you
Mm-hmm.
can have you can push features. You can have I forgot the term that is called, where you push the updates in user's phone. So there's a terminology for that, but then you have to hard
Guarantee.
push those code. Yeah, so sometimes you have to hard push. Otherwise, your your users could be on previous versions. They might not be updating the newer versions when you're releasing. So
Mm-hmm.
release process is totally different. With mobile applications, you cannot release every time. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to do with every sprint, but it's not that straightforward. You have to make sure that everything is working perfectly fine. But if
So,
anything goes wrong with web UI,
mhm.
you can just release it.
So this
So
is for the release. I'm more interested, let's say, towards the testing point of view. As a tester, how a different or maybe difficult or simple as compared to web? Give me some inputs about the testing point of view.
there are different challenges actually. With web, you have to you have to check browser supports, and
Mhm.
you have to see like different uh, that orientations, whether it will be
Mhm.
fitting or not. There are UI, and then you have to take care of overall the UI
Mhm.
part, whether it is
Mhm.
I again forgot that terminology. Sorry. Where you see whether it's uh, the the application and the screen orientation is properly working fine or not. If it is uh,
So,
so
okay, so let's make it a little easy. Let's say you are checking something on your app is available on Android and iOS.
mhm.
So, for the test, as a tester, what exactly you need, you know, first of all, that you need some devices, right? So,
Yeah,
for a tester, you need to
with
procure some
mobile
devices.
applications, you have to check other devices with different companies. So with
Hmm.
iOS, we know that it is just iOS, so it works. Like if it is working on, so there is very rare chance that it might fail with some other iOS device. But with
Hmm.
Android, we have different phones because Android is open source, and different companies have their own variation of Android. So
Hmm.
sometimes with Android devices, it's little tricky that something might break on other devices and it might be working fine on one device. So there are different challenges, and then you might face some storage problem with mobile applications, that you don't have much RAM capacity, and
Hmm.
sometimes internet
So
issues are
problem
there.
with problem with the device or problem with the app? If you have some RAM capacity, let's say you have a 4 GB RAM mobile phone or 6 GB mobile phone, the problem with the
Mhm.
app or problem with the phone?
That depends. If it is very low, as in device capacity is very low, then we cannot expect. But sometimes applications also require much more space to run that it should. So that is also one concern. So it should not be like very low. It should not be taking very much space in mobile application. But yeah, these days our mobile phones are more smart than laptops, so
So
it's not
tell
like
me
that.
one thing, like tell me some really good test scenarios that you will be doing on your mobile phones, either it is iOS or Android. Some really good scenarios, that you will definitely check for your mobile app. Let's say you have an app, Myntra app or a Flipkart or
Mhm.
whatever, and you really want to check on some mobile device or different devices. So what are a type of different testing you will be performing?
So there are a lot of testing that goes on with mobile, where you have to check with internet connection, because it's very common problem that in mobile phones we can face this interrupted internet connections. So sometimes we have to test those kind of scenarios where we have to just close
Okay, one is
the
internet connection. Second, just give me the different types of testing.
and then there could be some push notification issues, where you are getting the push notification, but when you're clicking the application, it is not
Hmm.
showing up, or it is just vanished.
Okay,
So
some
those
more.
scenarios. And
What else?
then it could be compatibility issues, like if
Mhm.
your user is already running the older versions, and now you have just ended the support of the older version, and you have just or maybe you had some new APIs that you just launched, or there's some
Hmm.
new microservices that you have integrated. So
Mhm.
those are not backward compatible and you forgot to test that thing, and now the older versions are not running properly. The
So tell me
users
one
on.
thing. I'll give you one scenario. Let's see, I have an app, okay, somewhere in Europe and somewhere in US,
Mhm.
and and I really want to test my user base that okay, yeah, and then I have 500 test cases, and the cycle is very quick that almost every day we have to release, or maybe every alternate day, or once or twice in a week that we have to release to the market. What will be your strategy for testing point of view, right, to release this particular app? So as a tester, what will you think about it? Okay, yeah, I have to execute 300, 400, 500 test cases on these devices. So what do you think in that particular area?
So when we are launching in different countries, there comes another challenge, that is multilingual testing, where sometimes you also have to
Forget about
pre.
multilingual testing. Let's say everything is supported with only English. So let's take an example with
Okay,
English only. So I'm
okay.
talking about what will be your strategy to execute those 300, 400 test cases almost every week. On which device you will prefer first? Okay, yeah, these are the most important devices I'll be picking, and then
iOS
on
for
what
sure,
basis? Why
because
iOS?
in Europe countries there are more users in iOS devices,
How
because
can you say that? On what basis you are saying
so
that?
we usually have some analytics tool that we use so to know our user base, and there we can so
How
there
will
are a
you
lot
get
of
your
things.
user base?
So we usually have this thing, some tool where we store the click and the pages that user are viewing. So
Mhm.
those tools tell us like there are demographics from where you can get to know like how many users are using which kind of devices, which platforms, Android or iOS, and in which country are your user base is like more active. So those kind of
Okay,
information we can get from the tool.
okay, fine. Good. Okay. Okay, so you are saying that okay, you were involved with the API testing also, and then you were using Postman and everything. So let's see, I give you one scenario. You have two environments before production
Mhm.
environment. You have test environment, then stage environment, and then you have uh, the production
Production.
environment, right? So what is happening that whenever we are launching the application or web application to the production, that is fine. That we are launching it, you are doing regression testing and everything on the web part. But there are a lot of changes are happening in the backend. Almost someone is fixing it, and we don't have any tracking system that what are the changes are happening in the backend, right? So how will you test that particular scenario where every day there are a lot of changes are happening from the backend developers in the backend, and they are directly pushing to the production? So what kind of
Directly
mechanism?
pushing.
Yeah, directly they are pushing to the production. So you have to stop them, and you have to check that okay, yeah, we have to perform the testing. You are aware of that okay, these are the UI things are making okay, they made some changes over there, and we have the user story, and the product owner is also aware of it, and then you have written the test cases. So for UI execute, you are executing the test cases, but have you ever thought about it okay, for backend we need some testing system over there so that we can test our backend system as well?
Yeah, so you're basically asking, I'm just
Mhm.
confirming if I understood the question.
Yeah.
So if we are having UI changes, so
Hmm.
how will I know that there are also backend changes going on that
Exactly.
I'm not aware of, right?
Yeah, you are not aware of it. We don't have any user story for that. You don't have any other thing. So how will you make sure that okay, there are some backend changes, and then for UI that absolutely working fine, but there could be some bugs in your APIs also, right? But who is doing that testing? Who is monitoring that?
So usually we have
Hmm.
some framework where we keep testing the APIs, the existing APIs and the newly designed APIs. But when there is some scenario where we are not aware and it is just going to production, or maybe some other team is pushing, we are not working with that team. So
Hmm.
changes are already going to production and we are not aware. So while testing, even if we don't notice, so
Hmm.
there are API responses when we are testing on UI. So we can check it
Hmm.
from network tab and we can see what all responses are coming from API, and we can test and see if it is 200 or 400 or some other
So
some
let's say I'll give you one
unexpected
more.
messages are there.
Let's say I give you one
Sorry.
example. Let's say I give you one example. Let's see, let's take an example for e-commerce application that you are working in user management team somewhere on the portal site, or you are taking care of some API also, but there is an order management team is there, and you have to expose. They have exposed their API. You have to consume their APIs. So you have to perform some integration testing, but they have made some changes, and you are not responsible for their testing, but you are responsible that okay, my integration with their APIs should work fine. So
Yeah.
what kind of strategy, what kind of framework you will perform over here, you will write over here.
So, in that case, it is very important that we know how our systems are connected to each other and
Hmm.
what all microservices are being used, what applications and how it is all connected. And
Hmm.
it should be very clear to us, and we should be aware of those things. So,
Hmm.
it is about knowing your system. So, when you are already aware, so you should have some process in place where if you're deploying some changes for one of the products and you know they both are linked, so you should be doing some sanity test for other products and other applications as well, because you know that deep down internally they are all connected to each other, the code base is same, and if changes are made here, it can impact the other applications that are related to it. So I
Hmm.
think sanity test helps there, that because we know it is not going to
So
impact
let's see.
overall, but
Hmm.
sorry.
Okay. So, okay, let's see. There are some payment gateway APIs, and you have to connect with some bank server or maybe some other payment gateways are available in the market, but you don't have any lower environment for that. And you are testing, you have written your test framework or test automation in the test environment, and you have to call their APIs for your end-to-end test cases. But you don't have any payment gateway, which is direct, they don't provide any QA environment for that. But you have to get the response from them. So how will you
uh,
perform your end-to-end testing over here?
We can mock APIs,
Mhm.
so we can create mock API and we
How
can
to
try
create mock
to mock
API?
it. So we can do it using Postman itself. So there
Mhm.
is one option where you can just use the same API and you can run it on local, saving the
Mhm.
responses that you have. Suppose you have tested it in one environment, you can just save
Mhm.
that responses on your local, and uh, so there is an option in Postman from where when you select that mock API, it asks you that what kind of responses that you want to use for your local
Mhm.
testing, and then you can test it on local just to make sure it will run fine when
Do you have any frameworks are available, like any Java frameworks are available to mock the services?
so currently the one I'm working on, it belongs to my company. So
Mm-hmm.
I have done for that, I have created a mock API on my local, so I could
Mm-hmm.
test it when the test environments or stage environments are down or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
just to be on safer side, I have that in on my local. Or also sometimes it is required because on test server or stage server it takes too much time to get responses. So on
Mm-hmm.
local, it is easy when you are designing API and writing test cases, and every time you have to run test cases. So you can
Mm-hmm.
just take it on your local and you can move on with the next code.
So why do you want to run them in your local? Why don't you host your mock services on some server? So let's see, I'm also in your team. I want to use your mock services, and let's see, you are not available. It's available in your laptop, in your local machine. Then why don't you host on a particular server? Okay, these are my mock services, http www dot some IP address and .com, and then I'll consume your mock services. What do you think about
Yeah,
that idea?
it can be done when you are working with with a bigger team and there are a lot of person involved working in this. But the
Mm-hmm.
one I was working on, that was I was alone working on that. I was entirely designing the framework myself. So for
Mm-hmm.
that, I never required that. That's why I never did. But yeah, it can be done if you are working with a bigger team.
Okay, good, no issues. Okay, so related to this question, let me ask one more practical question about API. Let's see, I have to do some hardware testing, right? So let's see, there is a mobile app. I give you one live example. I have one mobile app, and then the mobile app is about booking car, right? Just like we have Zoom car, or maybe in the US we have Enterprise or Avis or something like that. So you just go there, and then you just need to lock and unlock. Just click on lock the car and unlock the car, book the car, and then start the car and just drive your car. And then whenever you are parking somewhere, from the app, you have to unlock the app, right? So the communication is happening via microservices and the API, and there is a hardware in that particular car, and the hardware is sending some notification or maybe some events, but you have to perform. You are responsible for this particular testing. Let's say hardware is giving you a JSON response, right? Whenever you're calling, whenever you're clicking on the lock and unlock, and you have to test this particular application, or you have to automate these kind of applications. So what will be your strategy? And you don't have any hardware. Let's say you are in Bangalore and then you don't have any hardware for that. So you cannot procure the hardware and you are responsible for the testing for that.
I think this can be achieved by using API testing. So because basically what we are doing, we are just using our API to authorize that that access. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
suppose there should be some QR code or some any other form of access authorization token we are passing, or it could be some related to some Face ID scan or fingerprint or anything, some code. So whatever it is, we can just check it using that authorization token, whether the
Okay,
API is
so
working fine or
authorization
not.
token is fine. Okay, fine. But my question is about, let's say you want to lock the car, right?
Uh-huh.
And you don't have any hardware, you don't have any actual car, right? You cannot go to the car in the parking and then you cannot test
Yeah.
over there. You are sitting in your office, and then how will you build this particular system in terms of API? That okay, yeah, when let's say I want to get, okay, what is the tire pressure? What is the
We
percentage of the petrol and gas over there? So how will you
we
get it?
can we can pass requests from our API to their API, and we can send
Which API?
requests.
Which we don't have any API for that. Let's see.
So there should be some API from that company
Maybe
whose
they are
devices we are using.
from the device you are connecting with the car. Whenever you are coming next to the car, they are connected with via Bluetooth, or some Raspberry devices are there. There are no as such. The communication is happening between your mobile app and the car through some Raspberry devices, or maybe some Bluetooth over there.
Bluetooth. Okay, so phone is there and it is getting connected with Bluetooth to the car.
Hmm.
And I don't have car, I just have my phone, and I want
Yeah,
to test that, right?
you know the answer. You have already given the answer in the previous example.
So I'm not sure.
So I'll tell you one thing. I'll give you one hint. The hardware, the moment you connect with the hardware is giving you one JSON response, or maybe XML response or JSON response. And the JSON response you are getting that, okay, yeah, this is the tire pressure, this is the percentage of petrol or whatever, and then this is giving you the event that, okay, yeah, the car is locked or unlocked. Some Boolean values are coming in the form of JSON.
So yeah, I can
Mhm.
write that API test cases again. It will be API, but because when the two devices are getting connected, it has to be there has to be some communication going on, and if there is some communication going on, there has to be some API that is interacting with the
Mhm.
devices or the hardware,
So
whatever services are
that's
involved.
so can't you like suggest that some we can mock the services, right? We can create one fake vehicle services, something like this,
Yeah, we can do
right?
that.
And the moment you call the services, you are getting the response, that the exact response you are getting from the hardware from the car, right? So just
Yeah.
mock the service. This is one of the best examples, right, for the mocking the services, where you just mock the service, call the service, get the response, and cover your test cases.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Anyways, no issues. So one last question on API. Like, can you tell me what are different authentications are available? Okay, when you perform API or when you perform the REST API.
So there are basic auth,
Hmm.
then bearer token. So bearer token is basically generated using basic auth, but
Hmm.
the way we pass it is different. It is a token,
Hmm.
and then there is no authorization where we don't pass anything, and it is just open. And then there is OAuth, and there are more, but I've not used really. Sorry,
What is the difference between OAuth 1.0 and 2.0?
I'm not aware. I've not used it.
Okay, sure, no issues. Okay, good. So that you are doing some web automation also, and you are using Selenium with Java or some
Yeah,
other language.
no, Java.
Okay, so how comfortable you are with Java?
I mean, I won't say that I know everything about because nobody can know everything, but I know major portions that are involved
Mhm.
in basic test scripts, automation, and those things. So
Okay,
yeah.
can you tell me some practical examples that where you have used the proper method overloading in your framework? I'm not expecting the definition of method overloading. I know you know it, but where exactly have you used method overloading? And tell me the feature name, which feature that you have used with respect to method overloading.
Okay. Sorry. So there was one where I have to write one function to scroll to element and click. So it was basically finding that element and clicking on that element. But
Mhm.
we were passing different arguments into that because sometimes we are passing locators, bilocators. Sometimes we are passing those values in kind of in a string format. So we
Mhm.
have to use the same function with different arguments, and
Mhm.
I had to write that because based on what value I'm passing and where I'm using it, I had to
Mhm.
define it multiple times, and that was the
Okay.
example.
Okay. So, can you tell me when will you use abstract class and the interface, right? When you design a system, when you design a framework. So, in your framework, or is it compulsory to use abstract classes or interface? Or tell me the reason that when to use abstract class or when to use interfaces.
Uh, So abstract classes are used where we want to hide the implementation, and because it is not required to make it public, it is just the implementation is required, so we can use it for other
Hmm.
classes. And interface is just and inter is basically interface is implementation where we so abstract classes are actually extended, but interfaces are implemented. That is the basic difference. So when
Yeah.
you're
So
writing in
why do I need abstract? Why do I need interface when I can do everything with respect to abstract classes? I can achieve 0 to 100% abstraction with abstract class also. Then why do we need interface?
interface is required because we have to uh, with abstract class you cannot write functions. You are basically just defining the variables, and it's just you're not writing the function. It's just the definition of it. But with interface, you are implementing those. So you are using those functions and then defining that functions in the
So let's see.
interface.
What is WebDriver? WebDriver is a class or interface in Selenium.
WebDriver is the WebDriver is the parent class on which Chrome drivers or other drivers interface has been written.
It's an abstract class, it's a normal class, or it's an interface.
No, WebDriver is an interface, and Chrome driver, Safari driver, and all these are implementation of it.
Okay. So when you write
So
WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver,
yeah.
right? So according to Java, what exactly this concept is called? You're writing WebDriver driver
So
equal to.
yes,
Mhm.
we do this because we want an instance of Chrome driver, but we want to use all the functions and libraries that are defined in the parent class of WebDriver. But if we do it Chrome driver, so we won't be able to because Chrome driver is a child class of WebDriver. So we won't be able to use the functions and libraries of WebDriver that are defined in WebDriver. So that's why we are creating an instance of Chrome driver because we want to run it on Chrome, but because we want to have
So tell
access
me,
of
for Java point of view, if I write WebDriver driver equal to new WebDriver, can I do that?
Yes, you
If I write,
can do that. Yeah,
can we
you can
create the
do it.
object of interface?
But you cannot create an object of Chrome driver or any other driver that you want to use. It will be just a web driver.
No, my question is that can we create the object of interface in Java?
Object of interface. No.
Then how can you say WebDriver driver equal to new WebDriver? Can we do that?
So what we are basically doing is driver. Why we are doing it? Because Chrome driver is the child class of WebDriver. So
Hmm.
when we do driver, we are taking an instance of the parent class, but we are creating it as an instance of a new Chrome driver. So it is like
Okay.
because it will. Uh,
Okay,
I'm
fine.
not able to explain.
Okay, no issues. That's fine. Okay. My simple question is that okay, once again, I'm asking that can we create the object of interface in Java? Yes or no? Like, can we do that or not?
No.
And WebDriver is an interface. According to you, you said that, right? WebDriver is an interface.
Yeah.
So can we create the object of WebDriver in Selenium?
Yes.
But you said we cannot create the object of interface, and WebDriver is an interface. So how can we create the object of interface?
Actually, WebDriver is not an interface, but Chrome driver is.
So Chrome driver is an interface.
Yes.
Okay, but then when we write the WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver, it means we are creating the object of Chrome driver. If you're saying Chrome driver is an interface, then how can you create the object of Chrome driver in that case? Have you ever thought
In
about it whenever we're writing a WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver, what exactly the fundamental behind this line? Okay, anyways,
uh,
that's okay. That's fine. Okay, let's move to the next question. So let's say you want to interact or let's say you want to click on a specific button or link, right? So what are the different options are available in Selenium to click on a button? Give me at least, let's see, three options to click on a particular button or link or whatever the element you see on the page.
uh, first of all is using click function. We can just
Mhm.
do a driver dot find element and
Okay.
dot click.
Second.
And second one is we can use a JavaScript executor where
Hmm.
elements are not interactable and those situations where we're getting exceptions. So we can use
Hmm.
JavaScript executor. And
Hmm.
third one is we can provide some conditions like condition based, like until it is not visible or something like that. Then
Hmm.
we can click on it or we can scroll and then click if it is not
Hmm.
visible on UI. So
Okay,
yeah.
then one more.
Oh, for fourth one is we can write our own functions like I'm doing in my current project. So we can just
Oh,
create a
but
new
if you're writing
function.
your own function, internally you're using Selenium function only, right? Selenium.click only you're using it, right? So can we use
Yeah,
actions class
sorry, actions class.
to click?
So actions class is same actually. So earlier the click function we were using in Selenium 3, it was in a different class. Now with Selenium 4, it is moved to action class. So that click function now belongs to action class.
No, it's not like that. Where did you see that it moved to actions class?
I was reading one blog. I've not used Selenium 4, but I was reading a blog
Which
there.
blog? Which blog you were reading? Don't tell my blog.
No, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, earlier it was in move to element, but now it is moved to actions class.
Okay, okay, fine. So, how will you handle a web table? Let's see, I have a web table over there, right? A dynamic web table. So, how will you, let's say I say that, okay, yeah, give me the total number of rows are there in a particular web table, right? So let's see sometimes the rows are coming 10, 15 or 20. How will you get total number of rows in that particular table?
So I'll find, first of all, I'll find what is the pattern and how the numbers are getting changed. There should be some pattern, some number of options that are coming in the table. It should be coming from somewhere. So firstly, I'll find that pattern so I can do the indexing. And after finding that pattern, I'll just go to the parent table name, like it could be some table name, whatever it is. So I'll
Hmm.
take that as a parent, and then suppose double slash tablet, and then there is some tr or some block. So I can just move to that tr, and I can do the indexing, and then I can move to td. And likewise, we can just use some keyword or some indexing where that can fetch me, or we can write some functions. So basically we have to
Okay,
do the filtering.
okay. Instead of doing that, can we write some custom dynamic XPath over there?
Yeah, but again, you have to find the pattern, like
Hmm.
what based on what options you are going to select and what is coming on UI. So
Hmm.
there has to be some pattern. We have to find that pattern, and based on that, we can write the function to filter out those values.
So there is a method in Selenium, a driver dot get window handles method. Have you ever heard about it?
Yeah.
What is a return? What exactly this function will return? What is the return type of this function?
So sometimes we have a UI where there are different frames. So
Hmm.
window handle is basically used to switch between those frames. Suppose there is one left frame and there is one right frame, and I have to click or use the control to to
Mhm.
make some actions on left frame, and then suddenly after that I have to make some actions on
Frame or
right
window?
frame.
Frame or window? Are you
Uh,
sure that window handle we use to switch to the frame?
yeah.
But let's say I click on a particular button or link, there is a new tab is getting opened or new window is coming, and I want to switch to that particular window. How will you switch over there?
Yeah, sorry, we will use a get window handle, and for frame we use iframe.
Okay. So my question is that what exactly driver.get window handles method is there, right? And what
So
exactly this method will return?
get handles will return all the handles that are open currently.
Which collection you will store? It's a list object, it's a set object, it's a map object. What kind of
List,
collection it will?
list.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
It will return list or a set?
list, I guess. I've not used it, but
Okay. Okay, no worries. Okay. Can you tell me, have you ever heard about the collision in HashMap? How exactly HashMap works internally?
uh, internally how it works, I know, but I'm not aware of this terminology collision.
Okay, no worries, no worries, that's fine. What is the default capacity of array list? Right? When we declare one array list array is equal to new array list, something like this we write, right? What is the default capacity of array list? It's okay. That's if you're not sure about it, that's fine. Okay, no
Mm.
worries. So let's see one more question on Selenium. So what is the difference between quit and close? When to use quit, when to use close?
So quit is used when we want to close all the browser windows that are open, but
Mhm.
close just closes the current one we are working on.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So let's see. I have to check total number of links available on the page. Let's say you
Sorry,
open Amazon. Yeah,
link.
I have
Okay.
total number of links are available on Amazon.com or Walmart.com or Flipkart.com or whatever. How will you do that?
So I have to click on that link, all of them,
You don't need
or
to click. You don't need to click. You just need to tell me that, okay, yeah, these total number of links available on the page. That's it.
okay, total number of links. We can use the tag name that we are using, like for that link text, there should be some common tag name,
Mhm.
and using
What is the
that we
tag
can.
name for links? What is the HTML tag for links we use?
So sometimes it is span class and sometimes it is href. So it depends.
Can we say that we use HTML tag A, the anchor tag for all the links,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how will you capture all the links from the web page? Which
Uh,
method in Selenium you will be using it?
so using that common tag name, we can find it by using find all elements. With this tag name, we can find all of them.
Okay. Okay, fine, no issues. One second. Okay. So, which testing framework you are using for web automation? Are you using any like JUnit, TestNG, something like this?
TestNG.
You are using TestNG. Okay. Are you comfortable with TestNG?
Yeah.
So why we are using TestNG? Like, what is the purpose of using TestNG? Can't I write my test cases without TestNG?
We can write, but with TestNG, it provides us a library where you can easily execute the test cases. You don't have to worry about like executing the test cases. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it converts all your classes into test
Hmm.
by using TestNG libraries, and you can just run and execute those test classes, and you can write and manage classes. And it's easy to define like before test, before suit, all these things that comes with TestNG library. So
Okay.
annotations are there that you can use.
Okay. 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 So let's say I want to achieve a data-driven approach, or I want to achieve some parameterization approach in TestNG. Which annotation you will be using it?
Data provider.
Data provider. Okay. What will be the return type of data provider? What exactly data provider will return?
What will it return? A
Hmm?
string, I guess.
It will return a string. Are you sure? What if the data is available in the form of two-dimension array or list object or map object?
I'm not sure actually.
Okay, fine, no issues. Okay. So tell me, like in TestNG, what are the different, like you have seen that, okay, different annotations are available, right? What is the difference between a before method and before test annotation? These are two annotations are very common, right? What is the difference between before method and before test?
Just before, okay, so just before
Mhm.
is like it does not tell you whether you have to execute it before test or before. So it is basically used when you are not using any of the like classifications like before suit, before class, all those things
Mhm.
before test. So when you're not using all of those, you can simply just write before and after. So it will
Okay.
just run it before test. But when you're using that classifications, then there
Hmm.
is order in which it gets executed. So you have to follow that proper.
Which one will be executed first, before test or before method? Which one will be having the first preference will be given to before test or before method?
Just a second. So before method is executed just before test.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, have you ever used any uh, BDD based frameworks like Cucumber or JBehave or something like this?
I did briefly designed one framework, but it was very small project. I was just doing it for my learning. I was learning Python, but
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. It was a year back.
Oh, that's fine. No issues. So what do you understand by BDD? I'm not talking about in terms of automation. I'm talking about the BDD approach. What is
It's
BDD?
a behavior-driven approach where
Hmm.
there are three set of conditions. We have to
Hmm.
define given, when, and expect. So it is basically given is the condition that this is the scenario, and when given is sorry given is the input, when is the condition, when it is like situation, and expect is what we are expecting in that scenario. So
Hmm.
that's how it is written, and there are
What kind of,
feature for.
just talking about given, when, then, what kind of language it is? We call one language, right?
Mostly it is written in Python. So no, it is
Python.
actually it is function based scripting. So
Hmm.
it's functional
So
design.
whenever I'm creating, let's say, a feature file, right? You create a feature file, and in that feature file, you write given, when, then. So we follow some pattern, right? Given, when, then, scenario, outline, examples, keywords, something like this. So these keywords are okay. We call one language over there, right? Have you ever heard about it?
Not
Have you
sure.
ever heard about Have you ever heard about Gherkin?
Yeah, it is the library we use while writing feature files.
Hmm. Okay, no issues. What is a test-driven development? Right? These are very common terms we use like TDD, BDD. What is test-driven development? What is TDD?
Test-driven development is where you have one problem
Hmm.
and you think of all the test cases like we have
Hmm.
acceptance criteria. So your
Hmm.
test cases act as a acceptance criteria for you. And
Hmm.
when you write all those test cases, you have to make sure the code that you're going to write will fulfill all these test cases. Otherwise, your code is a fail. So
Perfect, great.
that is the test-driven development.
Perfect, great. Okay, so are you using any project management tool or any test management tool in
Uh,
your team?
so currently we're using Jira for
Okay,
like tickets and all those things.
okay. So for a tester, okay, for a tester, let's say for a QA guy, what are the different areas you will touch in Jira?
Sorry, I don't think I understand your question.
So where exactly you will be writing your test cases in Jira? Like what are different components, what are different features as a tester you will be using for in Jira?
So there are a lot of things actually, but if we talk about specifically test cases, then we can use some plugins like
Mm-hmm.
TestRail and other plugins are there. So if
Mm-hmm.
we want to document those test cases with Jira, we can use
Hmm.
those plugins.
Hmm.
So in my previous company, we used TestRail for that. We were using that plugin. So with all the features on new tickets, we used to just link it there, and we
Mhm.
used to write those test cases there. But
Hmm.
here in my current company, it is not required, so we are not using it.
So
But
where are you writing your test cases? Are you writing test cases?
so we write it, but it's not like we are actually providing a document when we are testing those when we are working on tickets. So we what we do while working on those test cases, we just prepare a document, Excel sheet or something, and we just attach it in our comment section in the attachment that these are the test cases we covered while working on these tickets.
Hmm.
So we just
So are you,
attach it there.
so your team is following any test cycle?
No, because currently I'm working with Kanban project, so there we are having just it's like small integrations sometimes, or it's like if ticket has come, I have to work on it. It's a new ticket or old ticket or whatever it is. So it we don't have a predefined set of test cases, but
Hmm.
being in a project since a year, I
Hmm.
have been, you can say, familiar with all the test cases and all the coverages we have and different, scenarios that we have. We have different document on Confluence. that we use to prepare our test cases while working on tickets.
Okay. So let's say you join a team and I say that, okay, hey, Shreya, we don't have any test cases. And
Mhm.
it's a huge, big product, a lot of features. It's a very complex, but we don't complex product, and we don't have any test cases for that. What
Mhm.
will be your strategy when you join this particular team or join this particular company? Uh, what is the first thing you will be doing in terms of understanding the product? We don't have any
Requirement
proper
document. Requirement
document. Okay.
documents. I'll go through all the requirement documents. I'll reach out to product and I'll get the documents as much as possible, and I'll try to go through all of them because it really helps to understand the product, and I've done it in the past.
Hmm.
So it really helps me. And also one more thing that has helped me personally was going through old Jira tickets. So it
Okay.
really helps a lot when you go through old Jira tickets and you just search on some feature or something. You can get all
Hmm.
the tickets that have been worked earlier, or you can go through all the open bugs and what have been fixed. You can go
Hmm.
through previously designed a sprint on Jira. You can, so it's a homework that we need to do as a tester. Sorry.
Hmm. Hmm.
So because it provides the context, if you really want to know your product, then you will do all this homework, because when you are new to
Hmm.
a company, you are missing the context, and you need to get as more context as possible and in the lesser time. So
Hmm.
having this approach has helped me in all my companies, and that is what
So,
I do.
okay, you got the context, you got the requirement, and then now you have a better understanding on the product. It's been 1 month now, and then I join your team. Then I say that, okay, hey Shreya, that do you have something that should I follow the same process? Okay, I'll go through all the Jira tickets, all the requirement documents.
No, so suppose so in
Hmm.
my case, what happened, I have been like unfortunate, you can say, in both my companies when I joined, it was a new project, and
Hmm.
that's why test cases were not there. So that was the reason. But initially, at as the time goes by, I started documenting those things. So the
Hmm.
new person does not have to go through all that I had to.
Hmm.
So this way,
So
the
you will
new
maintain the
person
test
can.
cases.
Yeah, so we can prepare the new document and we can prepare the test cases.
Hmm. 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 Okay. Okay. Good. Are you like, have you used any database? Like, are you comfortable with SQL service? I mean, SQL
Yeah,
queries or something?
MySQL. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me like the basic difference between primary key and the foreign key. It's a very basic question.
Primary key, primary key is the key that identifies the element of a table. So it's like the ID, the serial number that you are maintaining. So that is the primary key. But foreign key is nothing but a column that comes from another table where it is the foreign key for that table. For example, suppose you have two tables. One is of one is of suppose there is one class. There's a
So
school database.
so let's
This
we have employee table, we have employee table, and then
and
we
we
have
have a department.
department table. So in
Yeah.
employee table, we have one primary key, employee ID.
Hmm.
In
And
department table,
we have
what?
department IDs. Now,
Hmm.
so department ID that is coming from department table, when mapped to this employee table, just to make sure that we know which employee is working with
Mhm.
which department. So that department ID will become foreign key in this employee table, or maybe a third table that we are using to map those values. So there it will become a foreign key. And in third
Okay.
table, even the employee ID
Can we store
column,
the can we store the null values in primary key and duplicate values in primary key?
no.
Okay. So tell me what is inner join?
Inner join is where you are. Okay. Can I give you example?
Yeah, sure.
So suppose there are two tables, like we said,
Mhm.
employee table and department table. So
Correct.
if I want to create a third table where I want to fetch values from both these tables,
Mhm.
so inner join happens when we are taking the values from the second table, and not the first table. So when we are applying join, we write it like select values from this table, outer join on this table, or inner join on this table. So when we are writing the table, we are writing on the left in our query. That is the
Mhm.
table our values will be coming from. So the
That
all
you're
the
talking
values.
about that you're talking about left join and the right join. I'm talking about the inner join. Can you
Uh,
give me an
can
example of inner join?
uh, can I show you the Venn diagram?
No, that's fine. Okay. Just explain me like within 1 minute if
So
you can.
it's an intersection basically. Suppose there are two
Okay,
tables.
intersection. You're talking about
Yeah,
intersection, right? Okay,
yeah.
fine. Okay, good. Okay, so one last question from my side, Shreya, that is, you have 4+ years of experience, right? So, what is your, other things that you are doing in terms of learning? Are you learning everything from your product or from your project, from your team members, or you are doing some extra things to learn? What is your learning approach?
So
And these days, what exactly new things you are learning?
most of the things that I
Mhm,
do or learn, I try to implement those things in my project, in my current project, because with personal project,
mhm,
there are some limitations. You cannot work on bigger systems because it's a
mhm,
personal project. You don't have that much access. With office projects, you get that exposure where you can work on, on a bigger scale, and you can use all the resources from your company. So
mhm,
I try to use whatever I'm learning in my personal,
mhm,
in personal part. I try to use it in my office projects. But
mhm.
also, apart from office projects, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so apart from office project, I also try to work on some algorithms and keep
Mhm,
practicing some codes every day. And I try to join meetups because it's really helpful when you're in Bay Area. You should use that opportunity. So
mhm,
I try to join these meetups with women who code and other, there are other groups as well. And
mhm,
last year, so when I came here, I had to quit my job in Bangalore. So that time I was looking for my job. I was waiting for my EAD card, and that time I was not having job. So I used that time to attend some conferences. I went
mhm.
there. I made some connections with people in testing background. So those are the things I do.
Good. Okay, I think that's good. I think so. Yeah, I think that's all from my side, Shreya. So interview is done. Now it's time for the feedback. What do you think? Where exactly you're lacking, and where exactly the improvement area?
I think my basics are not like clear. I need to
Which
work on my
areas? Tell
basics.
me like what exactly you have thought about it, or you say that okay, no, those questions are maybe not the
Uh,
right criteria to judge you.
No, no. See, like you asked me about that WebDriver and Chrome driver thing. So
Hmm.
I'm using it on regular basis, but
Hmm.
even I've learned about it, but now I'm not able to, recall it. So it's like
Hmm.
there is some shortcomings there. My basics are not clear. I have to work on that, I think.
Okay, fine. Good that okay you got that point, but it's not like that okay your interview was really bad or something like that. I would say that yeah there is definitely a scope of improvement. So first of all, you have good communication skills. You are when you explain about the testing, when you explain about the process, like we started with the mocking services and all those things. I really liked your answers. With a 3-4 year experience, you have some good, knowledge and practical knowledge on the APIs. Like you said, okay, we will mock it and then we will get the response and then we will try to do that. And then you are working with Postman APIs and having some basic knowledge about the authentication and how exactly API and microservices works like that. Okay, that's a really good point. Then you talk about that, okay, you are aware of your sprint and then RCK you will be doing it. And overall, it's good when you frame the question answer with respect to testing and then manual testing and all those things. You are framing it good. There is no issue with that. Then we talked about the web. differences between web and mobile. So yeah, it is visible that okay, you have some experience on the mobile testing over there, how exactly it is different from different from the web application, and then what are different devices and what are the challenges you could face, memory leakage or internet connection, or could be some basic hardware and user base and all, right? So overall, these things are good. Then we started with the one question that you can improve over here, that is the user base question. That is whenever you're talking about the the mobile testing, if you want to write something, maybe you can write it. So that, according to me, whenever customer base is important, so someone is asking that, okay, yeah, the question is like, how will you decide? I ask you that, okay, 300, 400 test cases are there. So how will you decide that, okay, that on which devices have to execute? So I'll first check my user base. I'll check the analytics from the Play Store. And then I can ask from the product team also that, okay, yeah, tell me because it will help you, tell me the customer base on which devices these, the most of the customers are coming. Don't assume that, okay, in Europe, most of the people are using iOS, right? How can you decide? I mean, we cannot decide that. It depends on, and it depends application to application. Maybe people are more comfortable with Android, or maybe comfortable with an iOS. Maybe 70% people are using Samsung devices in Europe and Germany. You never know. So we cannot say, look, in these countries, iOS people are using iOS. Okay, so don't say randomly. We have to check the data first, right, for that particular app from the Play Store. Then second thing, you say that, okay, yeah, iOS, we won't have much problem because iOS is coming from the Apple and it's not open source. No, it's not like that. You will find a lot of issues with respect to different versions of iOS and different versions of devices. This is like practically proven that, okay, there are different versions of iOS, different versions of iPhones and devices are available. So there could be bugs. You should not say, okay, the chances are very less in iOS. Please try to avoid that. Then you say that, okay, yeah, Android is open source just because of that. It's not about open source or about the license based operating system. It's not like that. Or the bugs will come how exactly developers they have written the code. It could be the native bug also from the iOS side, or it could be the bug that they have written some iOS framework or Android framework that they are using it. So on the basis of that, you will perform, right? But overall, your answer was good. How exactly the mobile testing is different from the web testing. Then we started with the basics of Java. So I personally feel that please, I think you have to improve your Java concepts. I asked you that, okay, tell me about the overloading. So I think that was fine. It was good answer that when you click on it and sometimes you're passing the web element, sometimes you're passing the by locator, or sometimes you're passing the string locator or something like this. That's good. But whenever you're talking about the method overloading, so it's a very simple question, but nobody is expecting. First of all, you give the right answer. I was not expecting that, okay, the typical definition of the overloading. Everybody knows about method overloading, but I'm expecting in terms of feature wise. Let's see, a login can be overloaded, a payment method can be overloaded, a search method can be overloaded. I can search on Amazon, search with the product name, search with the color, search with the pricings, different filters I can apply. I can log in with OTP number and the phone number. I can log in with username, password. I can log in with something else. I can log in with the user role also and the username, password. I can do that. I can make the payment with the credit card. I can make the payment with the UPI or Google Pay or whatever. So these are the features with respect to method overloading. So try to explain with respect to the feature instead of dot click method that you have created.
Okay.
Right? And then I ask you about, I'm not going one by one, like interfaces and abstract classes. Please improve that thing. When to use abstract classes? What is the definition of abstract and interface, and what exactly the exact reason behind that? When to use them practically, right? And then a lot of confusion between WebDriver is an interface or class or abstract class. First of all, WebDriver is an interface. Never say that. Whenever you're showing your experience in Selenium, WebDriver is like, answer is interface. It's not a class, and we cannot create the object of interface in Java. So that's why we never write WebDriver driver equal to new WebDriver. So I would advise you, please go and check the API documentation of the Selenium. You say that, okay, there is a Chrome driver class which is directly implementing WebDriver interface. No, it's not like that. In between, we have remote WebDriver class also. We have Chromium driver, and then we have Chrome driver, and then Firefox driver and other classes are extending the remote WebDriver, and remote WebDriver is actually implementing the WebDriver interface. So it's a very simple diagram or simple interface, API hierarchy is there. Please go and check it, because these are the questions people definitely ask you at a time of interview. And but please, WebDriver is an interface, and we cannot create the object of interface. And then people will ask why we write WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver. Then you were confused that, okay, no, Chrome driver is an interface, right? So you're getting my point, right? So that is the confusion that you have. So please, when we claim that, okay, when we say that, okay, no, we are working on the framework, we have designed such things, and I'm comfortable with that. So when you are confused between these terms, some basic terms, that might not give a good impression. Okay, I know you can write the code, I know you can automate the things, but basics should be clear, right? Nobody's asking that, okay, yeah, okay, tell me how will you automate this entire thing. That we can check it later, or maybe it's not needed. I just want to check your basics. If you know your basics, definitely you can design a really good framework or system also like that, right? Then I ask about first of all that, please, one thing, sometimes you are not to the point. Okay, let's, when someone is asking the question, just very clear cut answer, you can say that. Don't try to, make the make the story about that, like, uh, let's say I say that, okay, when exactly you will be using interface in the abstract classes, like that. So just to the point answer that, okay, yeah, this is what we can do that, right? Sometimes I felt that, okay, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, that maybe it's a very not a big issue, but you can improve with that particular thing. Then confusion between click and click move to actions class in Selenium 4. It's not like that, right? So we have actions click is still available, and then driver dot find element dot click is still available. So your question answer was absolutely right. We have dot click method, we have JavaScript executor, right? We have you can wait with the help of WebDriver wait explicitly, and then you can do a dot click with until conditions or something like that. And then the fourth answer is that, yeah, actions dot click also we can do that. Okay, that is available in the actions class for the user actions. So it's nothing like that it moved to some other class, or in Selenium 4 something got changed. No. Okay, that was the mistake. Then web table answer was good. Okay, you will see that, okay, a pattern and all those things you will find out, and those things. In web table, you can say that, okay, we will be using the custom XPath like preceding sibling and following sibling concept. We will try to get that. And then someone is asking for some more example questions over there. Okay, yeah, then you have to click on this particular checkbox in a web table, click on this particular link in a web table. Then someone might ask you to create the XPath. So please improve that part. If you are not aware of it, what is preceding sibling in XPath, following sibling, parent, child concept in XPath. Okay, like that. Then uh, maybe some basic knowledge about collection collection APIs in Java. I asked about, okay, how exactly hash map will work, right? If you don't know hash map, you could have said that, okay, yeah, hash map is a collection. Hash map is a class which store the data, okay, on the basis of key and value pair format. That is also, you could have given the answer, and I know you know the answer, but maybe that time you miss. And please improve that, okay, how exactly, these are very common questions, that what is the default capacity of array list. The default capacity of array list is 10. Okay, so read about those things, and then it's very straightforward. I'm pretty much sure that if someone is asking about difference between array list, and linked list, hash map, and all those, there are 3-4 similar kind of questions are there. Just try to improve that. Then I asked you about total number of links. So that is good. That, okay, you said that, okay, driver dot find elements. You can use the tag name is equal to a. You can use that. But please span. You said that, but you said href. You remember you said that href. Href is not a tag. Href is an attribute. Href is a property of that particular tag for that particular link, where exactly it will navigate to which page or which URL. So never say that, okay, href is a tag name. A is a tag name, and you cannot create a link with span or with div. For all the links, we have anchor tag in HTML, right? If I say that, okay, yeah, there is a link, forgot password is a link, or reset password is a link, you check and go in the inside HTML DOM, you will see that, okay, there is a tag over there, right? If it is not a tag or anchor tag, then it's not a link. It looks like a link, but it's not a link in that case. Okay. Then your test engine knowledge was okay, that data provider you will be using it, but please say that just try to look into it, that basic thing, that what will be the return type, how, what exactly. Data provider will not give you only string, right? Let's see, if I want to fetch the data, multiple data I want to fetch, username, password, both I want to fetch, how will you return in the form of a string? In that case, you will maintain some array over there, or maybe two-dimensional array, or maybe list you will maintain like that. Okay, then overall good. Zira, you were comfortable, you were writing the test cases and all those things. One thing I would like to highlight, whenever someone is asking that, okay, are you writing the test cases? And don't say bluntly that, okay, we are not writing any test cases. You know that, okay, you are not writing in your company, in your project. If you say that, okay, no, we are not writing the test cases at all, it means then people might ask you, then why are you not writing? So better you say that, okay, we are maintaining either in the form of Excel sheet or Zira or whatever test trail, whatever you're using it. But don't say bluntly that, okay, right now we are not using any test cases. Simple say that, okay, yeah, because you know how to write the test cases and how to maintain the test cases. Simple say that, okay, yeah, we are writing it, but not that extensively. But you miss that point. Then I told you that, okay, what if I'm joining your team? How would I get to know that? Again, I have to repeat the process. You could have add that flavor that, okay, yeah, if I join a new team, that I have done that particular struggle to go through all the requirement and everything. But for a newcomer, right, and for to maintain the proper test coverage and to maintain the proper requirement traceability metrics or something like this, in that case, definitely we will maintain some test cases. So for a newcomer also, it will be easy for him or her to go through the instead of going through the entire documentation, right? So go through, better to go through the test cases written over there like that, and it will help you to understand conversion of the manual test cases into automation also. It will help you, right? You will get a base. Otherwise, on
Mm.
what basis you will start writing your automation,
Yeah.
right? So these small things gives a maturity at a time of interview, that, okay, yeah, you know the things, but sometimes what happens that, okay, candidate is not able to deliver, right? So that is what you have to, I think, improve. And otherwise, it's good. But yeah, there is a definitely scope of improvement that I have already told you. And then please, if you say, if you have written SQL queries, and if you say that, yeah, I know SQL and I'm comfortable with that, please go through the basic difference between primary key and foreign key. And then you know the things, but you have to deliver. You have to, give the answer properly about joins, about inner join. I was talking about inner join, and then maybe you got the, I mean, you give the answer for different other joins. So I think that is okay. That's not a big deal. That was good actually. So that is the overall feedback, Shreya. One last two, 3 points I would say that communication is good. Your explanation is good when we talk about the testing processes, when we talk about the testing that you have done practically. You are really good in that thing. You have given some really good answers with respect to mocking the services. In fact, with 4 years experience working on mocking services, it's a really good plus point. It shows your practical experience and all, right? Right. But when you talk about technology or tools, somewhere you have to improve that, how to give the best answer for that. You know the things, but maybe you are confused. And if you don't know, just straightforward say that, okay, no, I'm not sure about it. Right. And please don't, if you're not sure about it, don't say that, okay, that click move to actions class in Selenium 4. I have read somewhere. No. Okay. I
Okay.
don't think so. There is a blog is something like this, which someone has written. So please maybe go through once again and improve your, if you are really applying for automation, definitely you will have to expect some, level of coding or maybe some Java based questions, especially with object oriented programming. That please do that. Okay. And Selenium API hierarchy, please go through it. WebDriver is interface, or Chrome driver and other classes are available. Please go through it. Okay. And it's good that, okay, you have web, API and mobile, three areas that you have covered in 4 years, but you just need to present it properly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So overall good. I really wish you a very best of luck. And then if you need any kind of help, just let me know. And
Sure.
maybe after a couple of weeks, again, you really, when you prepare on these points, again, maybe we can have one more mock interview if you really want that.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So how was it according to you? Was it really
It was
worthwhile or?
good. I got to know what are the area of improvements where I need to work on. So I'll start working on that. I also have one interview lined up. So let's see.
Great, great. So best of luck. And
Thank you.
okay, share the news whenever you get the job. And I really wish you a
Sure.
very best of luck for your interviews and everything. Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you, Shreya. Thanks for giving your time. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye bye.